the king of the dogs. Dog King. He's the king of the dogs. Dog King. He's the king of the dogs. Dog King. He's the king of the dogs. His mother was a dog, his father was a king, so now he's Dog King, and he's king of the dogs. Dog King.
His bite is worse than his bark.
Dog King.
Because he bites like a shark.
Dog King.
You know he's ruling the streets.
Dog King.
He won't roll over for treats.
His mother was a dog, his father was a king, so now he's Dog King, and he's king of the dogs. Dog King.
Today we find Dog King, king of the dogs, sitting on his throne, gazing out at his kingdom. It was early, but already the alley between the laundromats was in full swing. Or wag. Despite it being fall, the air was warm as socks fresh off a foot, and the leaves crunched and munched as a wild medley of dogs rolled, ran, and wrestled their way through. It seemed like chaos, and it was chaos, but it was controlled chaos. At least that's what Pickles was shouting over and over again, though it seemed like no one was much listening to the little chihuahua.
Ah! Controlled chaos! Controlled!
He yipped, sitting snug in his raised pink bike basket.
It's Thanksgiving, you turkeys! Sweet Georgia Brown, you mutts are all beak and no gizzard! You have no sense of flair! No sense of style! We need this feast ready, and looks matter! They say you eat with your eyes! Not literally! Get your face out of the potatoes, fuzz for brains! Come on! Controlled chaos! Oh, what did you bring? Rolls? No! Don't do a trick! I was just asking a question! Ha ha!
Dog King laughed, getting up from his dirty mattress throne to help a Dalmatian drag most of a spiral ham onto the table. It was instantly glazed by gums and drenched in drool, but no one would really start eating until the others arrived.
Oh, who are we waiting for? I don't think I can keep these turkeys from gobbling much longer.
Pickles, said Dog King. They'll be here soon. Just relax, buddy. You're going to pop a wishbone.
Oh, if I pop a wishbone, then I get a wish. And I wish you wild wolves had even a tinkle of manners. Oh, I want this table to pop. I want it to shine.
Just then, a poofy red dog strolled into the alley, carrying a mouthful of heavy-looking socks. It was Annie the Chow, her pink bow bobbing.
Sorry, everyone,
she said, dropping the socks on the table.
I couldn't lift the bowl, so I had to improvise.
Up close, everyone could see the socks were beige and bursting with mashed potatoes. They hit with a wet squish and oozed onto the table.
Oh, Annie,
said Pickles, shaking so much it was like a full body wag.
I thought you at least had style. How are you going to drop socks of spuds on my spread? Oh, what else did you bring? A boot full of gravy?
Oh, how did you know?
Annie asked, pulling a boot off her back foot, the gravy squelching as she shook herself clean. Dog King helped her with the boot as Pickles continued his ranting.
Oh, no one has any class. None of you. Oh, you wouldn't know class if you sniffed its butt for a week. Oh, I have a vision here. This is going to be like a spread in one of those fancy magazines. Oh!
Oh, my owner gets those,
said Annie, licking gravy off her leg.
It's called Better Homes and Garden.
No, it's called Better Bones and Farting, said Pickles. I'm sure of it.
Dog King and Annie looked at each other and stifled their smiles.
Give them a break, Pickles, Dog King said. Everyone's trying their best. Just come and hang out with us.
Oh, fine,
said Pickles, hopping down from his basket.
It's a waste of time anyway. You all lack my flair, my je ne sais quoi.
I don't care what Jenny said. Just lend me a paw here,
came a gruff, muffled voice. They turned to see Rambo, the rust-brown pit bull, pulling a bundle behind him. It was leaking grease and gravy and other liquids that smelled faintly of garbage in the most delicious of ways. Dog King ran over and helped haul the bundle onto the table.
"Oh, what did you bring?" asked Annie.
"Everything I could steal from the neighbor,"
Rambo roughed.
"Why the neighbors?"
"You'd think I'd mess with my leftovers at home? No way! My mom's always give me a big bowl. They say it's only fair since I'm the handsomest boy."
"So what's inside?" asked Dog King. "It smells like a winner."
"Okay, looks like a half a roast beef, a bunch of corns on the cobs. Those lumps, I think, are a casserole. There's some green beans, a pair of pants."
"Oh, a pair of pants?"
Pickles asked.
"Yeah," said Rambo. "The neighbor shouldn't have tried to stop me."
Suddenly, a fuzzy form dropped down from above. It landed next to Pickles and spun like a calico tornado.
"Oh, we're under attack!"
Pickles screamed, diving into one of the socks full of mashed potatoes with a splat, leaving only his tail wagging in the air.
"Got you,"
said Cranberry the cat, laughing so hard her whiskers wiggled. Hearing her voice, Pickles pulled himself free of the sock and shook the food from his fur in a flurry.
"Dropping in like old times?"
asked Dog King. They had met Cranberry the cat the year before when she had crashed their Thanksgiving looking for food.
"I thought it was appropriate." "Oh, sweet Georgia Brown! You're lucky I knew it was you! Oh!"
said Pickles.
"I dove into the potatoes as a great joke! It was just a classic Pickles gag! Oh! I knew it was you the whole time! A real attacker would have gotten their potatoes mashed, I tell you what! Oh!"
They all laughed, and the others rolled in one by one. There were bassets with burnt bones, labs with licked leeks, collies with cornbread, and puppies with pies. There were poodles with oodles of noodles and kitten caboodles, and Goldens holding folded rolls. Luke the Doodle came with a pan of stuffing. "It's not stuffing unless it's stuffed inside something," said Other Rex, the boxer who loved to complain.
"No worries, because pretty soon it'll be stuffed in my belly, my dude," answered Luke.
Dexter the Bulldog managed an entire tray of perfectly formed deviled eggs. "They may smell a little bad right now," he said, waddling to his seat. "But don't worry, they smell even worse coming out the other end, huh?" More and more dogs arrived until the alley was jammed snout to butt. Finally, Broadwin the St. Bernard came, the last to arrive.
"Broadwin,"
said Dog King.
"what did you bring?"
"Well, butter my biscuits, honey. But I brought buttered biscuits with honey. A great cheer went up as it was finally time to eat. Dog King, cardboard crown stained with grease and perched crooked on his head, stood up to say grace. And right then, from the far end of the alley, a door banged open. Out stepped the oldest and ugliest man the dogs had ever seen. He looked like a piece of rawhide that had been chewed on for a week, buried in the lawn, and dug up on a rainy day.
"What are all you much doing out here?" he shouted. "We were assigned this alley by the Thanksgiving Parade Commission. How are we supposed to get ready with all you slobbering sogs? Get! Shoo!"
The dogs didn't speak human, but get and shoo were words they were all familiar with.
"What do we do?"
asked Annie.
"I don't want to get in trouble."
"I'd like to see him try,"
grumbled Rambo.
"I'll handle this," Dog King said. "He just needs to get in the Thanksgiving spirit."
Dog King leaned over the table and found the least smashed and hairy piece of pumpkin pie. He picked it up gently in his mouth, only swallowing a few bites and mostly by accident, and brought it over to the angry old man.
"Here you are, friend," he said. "Plenty to share."
The old man looked from Dog King to the pie, then back to Dog King, then back to the pie. This went on long enough that Dog King was afraid he was broken, but then the old man blinked and sneered. He brought one big, dirty boot up and then slammed it down, smearing the pie into the dirty alley. The dogs all gasped, and Pickles nearly fainted thinking of the lost treat.
"Get out!"
the man said again, and this time he pulled a broom from the door behind him and swung it at Dog King, who dodged back just in time.
"Go, you mangy mutts!"
The dogs all looked at him, not moving, and then he pulled a silver whistle out of his shirt. It looked like the kind a teacher or referee would wear. He put it to his lips and blew the loudest blast he could. It shrieked out like an angry cat, pounding painfully against the dog's ears. Dog King took a step back, his own matted floppy ears protecting him from the worst, but most of the dogs weren't so lucky. The whistle seemed to hurt their heads like they'd been smacked on the snout, and the entire crazy crowd went wild. Dogs horked and howled. They scooted and tooted. They ran and rolled and wrestled, this time trying to get away. The old man blew the whistle again, and now even Dog King turned to run. They poured out of the alley and scattered in all directions. Pickles had fainted with fear, so Dog King snagged his friend by the scruff. Moving quickly, he carried him to a nearby abandoned basement where his other friends were hiding.
"That was nuts!"
shouted Rambo.
"I want to rip that whistle a new butt! That lousy human wants to ruin my Thanksgiving! I'd show him if only my ears weren't so sensitive!"
"Oh, relax now, honey," said Broadwin. "All good. You brought Pickles."
"Never leave a dog behind,"
said Dog King. He set Pickles down on Broadwin's big back next to Cranberry the cat, and then took a seat next to the door with Rambo and Luke.
"What now?"
asked Annie.
"That was so scary." "We need a plan,"
said Dog King. They were looking out a dusty, cracked window. They could see the old man was smiling at the now empty alley. All the food the dogs had gathered was spread on their low pallet table, jumbled this way and that.
"At least dinner is okay," said Dexter. "That old fart'll go away soon. This is just a crop dusting."
Unfortunately, that's not what happened. The man walked down the alley, whistle at the ready, and kicked the dog's table to one side, letting the food fall on the ground. A few minutes later, he waved his hands and a giant truck pulled into the alley. The dogs whimpered as their remaining food was smashed into the ground by the giant tires, ruining their meal once and for all.
"Oh no! What do we do?"
Annie wailed.
"Dog King, Thanksgiving is ruined."
The others didn't quite wail along, but Dog King could tell they were close.
"Hey, everyone! Stop looking like you just got sent to the vet," he said. "Sure, our food may have gotten tragically crushed under a giant truck, but we can't let that ruin our whole day. We need to keep our tails wagging."
"My dude," said Luke suddenly from the door. "I can't believe this. You gotta look." Outside, the flat back of the truck was being loaded up. The dogs didn't know it, but that truck was scheduled to be afloat in the Thanksgiving parade that afternoon. The humans had set up a long wooden table and chairs on the back of it, and now they were bringing out tray after tray of food. The old man with the whistle supervised the rest, occasionally blowing a short blast when someone didn't listen fast enough.
"I can't believe it," said Rambo. "They ruin our dinner, and then they make their own right in front of us. I've torn out squeakers for less."
He sniffled once, trying to hide his sudden tears.
"I want my mom's."
Dog King could feel the mood turning sour. Tails were tucked, ears were down, and no one even laughed when Dexter farted so loud that Pickles woke up.
"Oh, I had the worst dream,"
the little Chihuahua said, eyes fluttering open.
"There was an old man, and he stepped on a pie, and then he blew his whistle and it... Oh, sweet Georgia Brown, it was real! Our feast is ruined! Oh!
He kept panting, shivering on the St. Bernard's broad back. Cranberry came and curled up next to him, her tatty tail curving protectively over his back.
"Everyone relax,"
said Dog King.
I love the feast too, but not as much as I love all of you. Thanksgiving isn't about the food, it's about family. And I say you're all my family. Turkey or no, I am thankful. I am thankful for all of you.
It was silent for a long moment, and then Cranberry spoke up.
I'm thankful for you too. All of you. You dogs are my family. My only one. Even if you don't know how to clean your own butts,
she added with a wink. Annie snuffled and managed a shaky smile.
I'm thankful for you too. And I'm thankful for my dad who loves to brush me. And I'm thankful for my beau. I just love my beau so much.
You know what? I'm thankful for Fetch, added Luke. My kid at home can throw a stick like you wouldn't believe. I'm just like, totally. You know what I mean, my dudes? They nodded, and then Rambo rolled over too, still groaning just a little over the lost food.
I guess I'm thankful for friends too. And I'm thankful that I'm the handsomest boy ever. And mostly I'm thankful for barking and chewing and ripping. Never my stuffy bunny, though. I'm thankful my stuffy bunny is home and safe.
I'm thankful for being so big, said Broadwin. You know, I used to hate it, but now I like that I can have my little friends on my back. It's nice to help, and it's nice to be needed. I'm thankful for deviled eggs, said Dexter, even if they make my farts so bad my sister puked at Yom Kippur.
Oh, I'm thankful for being a tough guy like Rambo, said Pickles. Shout out to my great Aunt Norman, taught me everything I know. Oh, and I'm thankful for my dollhouse to nap in, and my pink bike basket to sit in, and for Broadwin letting me ride on her back even though I keep having accidents.
Oh, Sugar, really? Again? asked Broadwin.
I said it was an accident! I didn't have it on purpose. If I did it on purpose, you'd know it. I may be small, but I can pee with the best of them. I can tinkle like chimes.
Dog King laughed, and the others cracked a smile, too. They really were the best of friends. It was a shame he couldn't save their Thanksgiving. Or could he?
Everyone, what you're all thankful for? It gave me an idea. I think maybe we can have our Thanksgiving feast after all.
Oh, honey, it's okay, said Broadwin. Like you said, it's the family, not the food. Dog King stood up to his full height, crown cool and crooked.
Well, sometimes it can be both.
The dogs all smiled and leaned in to listen to Dog King's plan. A few minutes later, the float was nearly completed on the back of the truck. They had a bunch of decorations and chairs and a dozen humans dressed up as pilgrims. On the table between them was a colossal turkey and sides, all fried, baked, mashed, and broiled.
Dexter, you're up first,
Dog King said. The bulldog nodded and waddled into the alley. His tail lifted briefly, and then he came trotting back to the basement.
Bombs away,
he said. On the float, the humans stopped talking and laughing and started wrinkling their noses. In seconds, they were covering their mouths with their costumes. Even the old man with the whistle was gagging, waving at the air in front of his face. The driver of the float, barely able to see over all the decorations on the flatbed, saw the wave and thought it was the signal to join the parade. He changed gears, and the truck started to ease forwards. The humans, standing and sick, tumbled off the truck and onto the ground.
They're moving early, said Dog King. Step 2, go, go, go!
Annie walked quietly into the alley. Her fur was clean and her bow was bright. She headed right for the old man who was trying to get the driver's attention. She succeeded in distracting him, and he narrowed his eyes.
You don't look like a stray, he said. Nice pretty bow and all that. We should get you home.
Suddenly, from behind him, Rambo growled long and low. The old man spun, eyes wide.
Think you're a tough one? Let's see how you like this.
He raised his whistle to his lips, which was Pickle's signal to slip out from underneath Annie and bite the old man as hard as he could on the ankle.
Ah!
The man gasped and swallowed his whistle at the same time. He turned and grabbed his broom, raising it high to swat at the still growling Rambo.
"All right then," said Dog King. "Luke, fetch!"
The golden doodle bounded from the door, his long legs flying over the sprawled people still finding their feet. With a mighty last leap, he soared through the air and grabbed the broom from the old man's hands. He carried it away and dropped it to the ground, butt in the air and tail wagging.
"Just like fetching a stick, my dude." "Stop! This!"
the old man whistled. The truck driver, oblivious to the commotion in the back, started to pull on the street and join the parade.
"All right, everyone," Dog King shouted. "Time to go!"
All the dogs from earlier, gathered again by Cranberry the cat, swarmed into the alley. Broadwin ran up to the truck and laid down, letting all the smaller dogs use her as a step to jump up onto the bed. Dog King watched until he was sure everyone else was on, and then helped boost up Broadwin.
"Watch your biscuits," he said, jumping up after her. "Wait, where's Rambo?"
They turned and saw Rambo still growling at the old man. The truck lurched forward and started to drive away.
"Rambo!" Dog King shouted. "You're going to be late for dinner!"
Rambo turned, and his eyes went wide as he saw the truck with all his friends and all the food start to pull away. Giving the old whistling man one last bark for good measure, he turned and sprinted after the truck. He made a leap just as it pulled into traffic. For a second, it seemed like he would fall short, but Dog King and Luke were there to catch him by the scruff and haul him onto the truck. They all fell back into a pile as the truck pulled into the parade line, just behind a giant superhero float.
"Did we all make it?"
the pitbull asked, panting. Dog King turned and gestured at the feast on the table in front of them. All the other dogs were already scrambling up, the big ones into chairs and the little ones right onto the table itself. Food was steaming on dishes that covered the table near completely, the golden roast turkey right in the center.
"Buddy,"
Dog King said,
"dinner is served."
In the center of town, the humans all gathered to watch the parade. The cheering crowds lined the road, mixed with vendors selling hot cocoa and flashing toys. Kids sat on their parents' shoulders, waving at their favorite characters. As each new float rolled by, an announcer's voice came rolling out of speakers on the street.
"Let's give one last cheer for our superhero float," she said. "And next up, we should have a float depicting a classic Pilgrim Thanksgiving, and here it comes now, a tribute to that first feast. It's a beautiful float, and it's dogs? Folks, it appears that dogs have taken over the float."
The crowd gasped as Dog King and all the rest came into view. They were sprawled all over, eating their hearts out. Rambo had a drumstick in his paws. A corgi was swimming in mashed potatoes, and Broadwin was buttering biscuits. The others were in similar states of celebration. The crowd looked all over the float, confused and silent, and then, sudden and sure, they erupted into wild cheers. Pickles poked his head out from inside the turkey.
"Ha! You hear that, Dog King? Ha!"
he asked, still chewing.
"They love us! Ha! We're stars!"
Dog King laughed and swallowed a bit of casserole. Digging, he found one of the pilgrim hats under a pile of ham.
"Happy Thanksgiving, everyone,"
he called to the other dogs. And then he pulled the hat on over his crown, picked up a turkey leg, and started in. The dogs all cheered and, tails wagging, dove back into their feast. Dog King, as always, leading the way.
Dog King, he's the king of the dogs. 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 His mother was a dog, his father was a king, so now he's Dog King, and he's king of the dogs. Dog King,
His bite is worse than his bark.
Dog King,
Because he bites like a shark.
Dog King, you know he's ruling the streets.
Dog King, he won't roll over for treats.
His mother was a dog, his father was a king, so now he's Dog King, and he's king of the dogs. Dog King.
Thanks for listening.